brief live here Saturday morning. And yeah, I'll start off with a bit of a story. My name's Fola, by the way, to those of you who are new. Today we're going to talk about the concept of like shadow and light. And I'm just going to like hold this up because I think it's important to just see the concepts of shadow and light, okay? So this is both in like a physical sense, it's in a hierarchical spiritual sense of the hierarchies of like spirit and the divine. And it's also an internal like microcosmic sense of our light, our shadow aspects. These might be new terms for you, that's okay, just bear with me. But the other day I had we like hosted a Reiki share, and I received Reiki from some other practitioners, and I had a very peculiar experience, I would say, not anything I've really ever had before. And it left me kind of wondering a bit of this kind of war or battle in my internal realm of light and dark. And it was confirmed to me when one of the practitioners said, like, I could see, these two kind of aspects. One was light, one was like shadow, and you kept going between both. And when she said that, it made me realize, like, yeah, like that's how I've felt for a lot of my life. I mean, I've talked about this before, being like a mixed woman, part Nigerian, part Norwegian, Scottish. Like, there's kind of these two worlds merging. But also in my like spiritual realm, I would say I'm someone who definitely explores all the different aspects of spirituality, the light and the dark. I believe, and again, this might be my life experience, and I do believe that everything needs to be joined. This is why we have the two pillars on the tree, right? Two pillars on the tree of life. I don't have my book with me, sorry. I'll see if I can find one actually in this book. But we have to learn to blend or kind of engage both aspects of the tree. And let's see, tree of life. I'm going to see if I can find a picture because I do kind of think it's important here if I can find it. Anyway, so I had this experience, and I'll just show you this for now. We have the image of the pillars. This is like the representation of the tree of life, and that we have the black pillar of Boaz, the pillar of severity, which could be identified as your right side. And we have Hakim, this is the pillar of mercy, this white pillar, which could be seen as your left side. And in the center, in this case, with the High Priestess card, we have the High Priestess. This is the middle pillar, right? This is the individual who has come to balance both sides internally. And I believe this is like every human's goal. So for me, this is my walking path, is to be able to explore both sides. This is where we can find balance in our life, etc. So the reason I would come on here is this recognition this morning of like, as I went to meditate, here I was with this sort of internal battle. I wanted to both explore my inner world of the connection to God, and through the way I do that is using the Shem HaMephorash, so the 72 names of God, or 72 faces of God. Good morning, Mikhail. Or wherever you are, whatever time of day it is for you. And this part of me that wanted to connect to like this divinity that I feel with my very old Christian upbringing is like super important, But then this other part of me was like, oh, like, what about Lucifer? This is the fallen angel. Lucifer is one that I would say I very much have had connection to, and whatever your interpretation of that energy is. Some people would identify that as a negative or bad like aspect. And really what I am about this on this channel is to expand your consciousness so that you can start to recognize what your truth is, and also walk out this pillar, this like balance of your life of left and right, light and dark, etc. And so in my meditation, I kind of was like, you know what? How about instead of creating this fighting, like that was confirmed to me by this Reiki practitioner who described the image she saw, instead of this like ping pong battle of light and dark and who do I give my attention or energy to, right? It's like, what if I just focus on my breath? Which is a huge part of any occult or esoteric magical practice, is this idea of like the rhythmic breathing, or whatever form of breathing. It's about tapping into the body, into the self. It helps regulate the nervous system, and it also helps concentrate, increase your concentration, your focus, etc. And so instead of this external focus on the Shem name that I had on my altar, and the sigil of Lucifer that I had on the altar, and so forth. And what my ego mind wanted to do was create a separation, like see these as two different things. I just instead went inside. So I guess what I want to say with this before I get into another little demonstration is, if you're finding yourself in a situation where you're battling whatever, maybe you feel like they have like a choice you have to make over here and a choice you have to make here. It's like you have two sort of directions on a path and you're not really sure which path to take. I want to invite you to kind of like forget about those paths altogether and bring it inside. Okay? Go into meditation. Connect to your breath. However ways you do that. It could be simple as going for a walk in nature. Okay? But then as I came down here after the meditation, which I would say was very like, I got a lot of insights. It was interesting, as it usually is. And I came to journal. And I might actually, I was going to try to show you how the light was here while I was journaling, but I don't know if it's going to work. So I'll probably just show you my journal. As I was writing, I'm going to flip this. As I started to write, oh, cool, I could actually go like this. I could see my hand writing in my journal. And I started to notice the shadow. So the shadow there, you can see my pen moving, the hand, like if my hand's up over here more, you could see there was this shadow. And I was like, oh, I can't remember who it is. It might be Plato or Aristotle who tells that story about the man in the cave who basically, my interpretation is he gets stuck in there because he's seeing shadows casted on the wall. But in actuality, and he gets stuck, he gets in his fear. But what happens is those shadows cast on the wall were not actually monsters. They were the humans on the other side where the flames were. And their shadows had just been cast on the wall, right? But it made me realize, like, okay, well, I have this shadow here. This shadow that is cast from my hand. And why is it cast from my hand? Well, it's because over there is a light source, right? There's a light source shining through, which I'm not even looking at, I'm not looking at it, yet there it is. And that light source comes and it casts the shadow by hitting my hand. And so here is my hand lit. And it just made me have this deep, like, realization that here is my hand, right? I drew a picture as best as I could because I needed to make sure I remember this. So here the light rays come in, and I'm not focused on this light rays. I put this as the sun. This could be identified as God, Ra, the divine, right? This is where life comes from. And it casts a shadow on my identification of self. And on one side here is like a lot of light. I can really see the texture of the light cast upon my hand. And then right about, halfway on my hand where the light isn't really shining, there's still a bit of light, but like the texture, the ability to see all the details on my hand is limited because it's not directly like touched by the light. And then behind it on the table, in this case, was the shadow. And the shadow in itself is like, if you see the shadow right now of my hand, like depending on how it is, like it could be seen as like a monster, right? Like it's huge. It's a bit distorted. And when we focus only on the shadow aspect, this to me would be like the demonic aspect. It has a bit of a fear energy to it because it's like, oh my God, what is that thing, right? And yet this shadow has a link to what? Like spirit. It can only come from the light. Without the light, there's not going to be a shadow. Okay, I'm going to turn my camera back around. And so this recognition for me of instead of focusing on either just that shadow energy, quote unquote demonic energy, the thing that, and I say demonic, that just really ties to things that could be maybe fearful. They induce a sense of uncertainty because of the way we've lived our life. It's things that are kind of suppressed or repressed. We've been told maybe not to look at it. And that's what the shadow aspects are, really. Not told to embrace it, etc. If we don't focus just on that, and we don't focus just on the source of light energy, there's such things as spiritual bypassing, etc. And instead, if we can direct our attention, if we can direct our energy on the self, on the hand, that this is the you. This is the you that exists now, I guess is what I want to say. And that hand, this was how it was showing up for me. This aspect of you is what is actually important. And it's also impacted by the light. It's impacted by the shadow. It has both inside of it. Even right now, you can see there's aspect of my hand that's like more lit than the other side, right? And I feel like the way that we can do this, the way that you can tap into this place of self and then receive whatever influence, whatever guidance that is wanting to come from the external, macrocosmic, divine order, like we can do this by simply breathing, connecting to the breath, connecting to the body, however way you want to do that. To me, this again, it's done through breathing and meditation, other forms of like pranayama or breath work. It's done through, rituals like the rose cross ritual, the lesser banishing ritual, whatever rituals that you take part in, to even just recognize that you are an embodiment of these divine energies. This is where invocation, evocation stuff can come into play. And then it's also through altered states, so using plant medicine, connecting to the self, awakening this, like a realigning really with this energy of inside of you that I think can be sparked by the plants. Ooh. So wherever you are on your journey, and if you're just tuning in now, because I know people come and go from these streams, inviting you to check out the beginning, this description of the shadow and light aspect and how this might help you to make choices moving forward in your life. This isn't just about spiritual connection, but like I said, if you were feeling like you were kind of trapped with which way do I go? I've come to a crossroads and I don't know. Pause, take a breath, let breathing realign you to yourself. Forget about all the distractions outside or all the ways or things that you think you need to choose or ways you need to be, and allow the breath to bring lightness and a sense of peace. And then from there, the guidance comes in, the insights come in on what that next step will be. So yeah, I just love how, everything that happens can be seen as a communication to our souls from this divine energy, this divine space. And so wherever you are in your day today, I hope that you can continue to receive those insights, be open, as much as possible to be guided on your path. And hopefully I will see you all in another video. So hope you have a great day. Bye.